We're going to talk tonight about reaching a goal, building a business, creating your business plan, and having a tool that you can utilize from now forever. And I don't care what you utilize it for, it'll work anywhere, anyways, to help you go from point A to point B. And I've had this tool my whole career. So when I first got involved, I had experience, I had this tool, I had the understanding, I knew what it did, all of those kind of things. And it made my life very easy. And it made the attainment of a goal very easy. And so we're going to go over that. I'm going to share my screen here. Let's see, sure first. So let's clear up some words and terms. Um, Definitions of business. It's the practice of making one's living by engaging in commerce. Now, as simple as that is, I learned a long time ago that the number one of the main problems of a lack of attaining success is misunderstanding something. And misunderstanding it, we speak in a language, and the language is two languages. One's words, and the other is numbers. And they're both languages. Um, Language is actually critical to your success. Understanding the language, understanding the words you're using, understanding what we call the nomenclature, the lingo for whatever you're talking about. Now, if you were going to be a photographer, for example, the photography is a quite an extensive education to learn to be a good photographer. It's not just getting a camera and taking a picture. There's all kinds of things with photography. But the pros talk in a language that if you went to sit down with them, you probably wouldn't understand what they were talking about. Likewise, if you go into a hospital and you're, dealing with a bunch of doctors and nurses around an operating table, they break their language down into to abbreviations and terms. And the same thing happens with us in network marketing, where, well, okay, you got an upline, you got a downline, you got an organization, you got PVs, you got CVs, you got overrides, you got rebates. All of those things most of you may understand, but the raw public doesn't have a clue what you're saying. So
That's
when
right.
you talk in a language that people don't understand, they go blank. They go absolutely blank about what you're talking about. So there's a whole methodology to this, but anyway, this is what we're going to be doing tonight. So definition of business, the practice of making one's living by engaging in commerce. We've got that. Definition of commerce, the activity of buying and selling, especially on a large scale. So if we look at what we do, this is what we do. We're in business and we are in commerce. We're doing commerce. Now, definition of planning, the process of making plans for something. And then definition of a business plan. I did a Google search on this, real simple. It's a strategic document that outlines your business goals, the methods to achieve them, and serves as a roadmap to your business success. That's a business plan. Now, I've done many businesses from private to public companies, um, big deals. Did a business that sold to Sprint, done oil and gas, et cetera, Yellow Pages, advertising, and all of them do what Nikin does. Nikin does what all of them do. We have a product and service we sell to the public. So in the sense of thinking, we need a plan and a strategy of how we're going to get that done, and that's what we're trying to accomplish here. Now, you can Google search this. This is the key components of a good business plan, executive summary. This section provides a high-level overview of your business, including its mission, vision, and the key objectives to aim or that you aim to achieve. It should summarize the main points of your business plan and entice readers to learn more. So when I started, I created this executive summary for me about what I was involved with to attract attention. And it was based on what I saw, who I was involved with, what I did, all of those kind of things. So when I started this business, I never talked about becoming a Nikin distributor. I talked about building a distribution business. Because in my mind, what did we do? We distributed products. We looked for distributors because we didn't do retail in my day. That's of late, 2010 or so. We did it based on recruitment and finding other distributors and so on and so forth. But I don't want to get into my techniques or what I did because that doesn't exist the same way it did 35 years ago. We're in a new world right now. Okay. But you've got to have, in other words, you're talking to a person and you're trying to, I'll cut to the chase here and what we're trying to do here. We're looking for other people to distribute our products because they do two things. They find retail customers and they find other distributors. And they're the only person that does that. So, and they generate by statistic, they generate the most volume, they create the most income, and they can be some of the most productive people. So that, in a sense, is the objective that we're after. So therefore, in our communication, we want to communicate in a way that's going to attract that kind of person that's interested in doing that kind of thing. And that kind of person usually needs to have some, really hot, good, exciting, sizzling communication. But it can be very sophisticated. We'll get into that. We'll show, I'm not worried about that right now, but I'm just kind of giving you some ideas here. Company description. You want to know everything about the company you can possibly know about, when it started, why it started, its growth, how many billions it's done in business, where it does business, all of those kind of things, because you're painting a picture to the person that you're talking to get them involved with you. And this is very important. You may not use it all the time. You may use it just a little bit. But again, you're building a business for you. Market analysis. What the heck is going on in your market? I mean, these are things, I mean, network marketing recruits millions of people every year. It does billions of dollars worth of business. Direct sales is huge. You look at the internet, Amazon, what it does, and so on and so forth. And these are things, again, you're going fishing and you want to put on the most shiny, best reel you possibly can. Well, yeah, I want you to join my company. Yeah, well, we're kind of doing okay, I think. I mean, I don't know what we're doing. I mean, that just doesn't fly, guys. It's just not, it's, you're not, again, you're there out there recruiting and looking to choose people to join you. And this is a really critical thing about doing this business. Okay, market analysis, organization management, what you're doing, what's your team, where you're going, why, products and services. This is what the internet has said about a business plan, not me. This is the internet. Financial projections. We're not supposed to do that, but that's another story. Okay, what's the importance of a business plan? Guides decision making. It's the whole purpose of it. A well-structured business plan helps you make informed decisions and stay focused on your goals. Okay, month one, you set a target for a goal for the year. So in my first year, my goal was $120,000. My first one, I made $460. Did I cave in? Did I fall apart? No, I said I made $462 and I'm on my way to making 120. So I looked at what I did, evaluated it in comparison to where it was going, understood what I created, and then what's the next move? What's the next step? You see, it's the decision making. So I decided, well, God, I got to go talk to some more people. I went and sponsored 8 people, and 8 of them did nothing. Do you know what you earn off a distributor that does nothing? Nothing. So I all of a sudden said, well, I guess I recruited the wrong people. I, I better wake up here and smell the coffee. I'm not doing this right. Something's wrong here. They were enthusiastic. They wanted to play, but something didn't happen. I'll show you what you need to do to prevent that from moving forward. Et cetera, et cetera. So creating a good business plan is essential for any entrepreneur or business owner. It not only helps clarify your vision and strategy, but also increases your chances of securing funding and achieving long-term success. If they're the right person and they're really serious, and I know you've all run into people that are really, really serious. They got a huge problem. And again, that's what we do is we provide solutions to problems. But here's something you got to remember. You cannot solve their problem. Only they can. It's like you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make him drink it. Raised horses, understand. It's the same thing with people. You can show them how to be successful, but that doesn't mean they're going to be successful. There's more to it. Okay, enough of that ramble. Let's get into creating your business plan and setting your goal. So here's the first exercise. What's your goal? I don't care what you set it for. What's your goal? Write it down on a piece of paper. Now we're going to need to examine what you will do and then what exactly needs to be achieved. And this is usually spelled out in the purpose. But I'm in this particular example, I said, well, is it a royal diamond? Is it diamond? What's your objective being a Nikin distributor? Write it down and then somebody tell me what they want to be.
Immediate goal or long-term goal?
I don't care, whatever goal you want to work on.
Okay.
So somebody tell me a goal they want.
I want to be gold.
You want to be gold. Okay. Now, here's an interesting thing. Now, what we're going to look at, why do you want to be gold?
Because now I'm serious about my business and I'd like to grow it and I'm looking for partners who will help me reach there as I will help them reach where their goals are.
Okay, so that's well and good. I'm all cool on that kind of stuff, that fluffy stuff. But why do you want this goal? What's it going to do for you?
Well, my biggest thing is that I want more people to know about Nikin. And how will I do that without expanding my business?
Okay, so let's look at it. Fine, I concur with you. Nikin is a business that has a philosophy and it operates on the same basis of all other businesses. And we just covered what a business definition is. It sells products. The only way that you make this work is by the sale of products. You don't make it work any other way.
No.
So I like the idea you want to build a big organization, but I really want you to understand what's going to cause that organization to grow. And what we've observed in the tracker, you can take this and throw it out if you don't like it, or you can look at it and see how you could utilize it and apply it, because I think this is the crux of the reason why people aren't reaching their goals. See, the goal is then tied to a purpose. What's the purpose? The purpose is the reason for the goal. And the purpose has to be usually our sub goals, like pay for something, savings, retirement, bills, education, travel, a better lifestyle, a way of living. That's commonly called your why.
Mhm.
So the definition of purpose is the reason for which something is done or created or for which something exists.
So I have a goal. I have a purpose.
What's that?
My purpose is that I want to help others who are caught between the medical system and between other um, alternative methods of healing and who aren't healing, whose life sucks. They don't have a quality of life, which was
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
So I want to find people like me and show them the way that Nikan has helped me.
Okay. So there was a
It's not
recent
just about
survey.
the money for me.
Okay, I understand. The money is a number, it's a language, and it represents your productivity.
Right.
It just all that's all it does.
So it'll signal to me how
So
many
I want
people
you to
I've
think
reached.
about this for a second of the recent population came out and showed that almost, I think it's 42% of the population is below poverty. Okay. So from the standpoint of, okay, you don't care about the money, then why do this? There are much greater ways for you to help those kind of people.
Because I have a strategy.
Okay, I'm fine on the strategy, but I want you to understand that in order to get other, see, here's what's important. In order to attract what you want is going to be very difficult because most people can't afford to do what you want to do.
Hmm.
See, they need the beans.
Hmm.
So if they're not being taught how to make the money, and all money represents is your exchange.
Hmm.
So if you do a really good job, then you should make a hell of a lot of money and you can take a hell of a lot of money and buy a hell of a lot of products and help a hell of a lot of people.
That's true.
My business did over $1 billion worth of business. I helped hundreds of thousands of people. Here's what I want you to understand. Now let's take a look at a guy like Bill Gates, who became one of the most successful guys on the planet in recent times. He starts Microsoft. Everybody in the world uses Microsoft. It's just a genius deal. He made hundreds of billions of dollars himself, and he gave it all away.
Hmm.
But look at all the people. Look at all the people that followed him, used his material, got on board to do their thing. See, what we have to understand, it's not about us. It's about the people out there. See, success is based on helping somebody else get what they want.
Right.
And if you help enough people get what they want, guess what you get?
I
You get
get it.
what you want.
Yeah.
And I had a gal, a distributor. She's still a distributor. She's in her mid 80s, or Lynette Richardson. Her husband they owned a company called La Palma. And La Palma built all the ski lifts and gondolas in the United States. They had a ranch, they had horses, they had hens, in my opinion, they had more money than God had. And she fell in love with this product. And she had the same idea that you had. But she had to realize that not everybody followed her line of thinking. So she had to play the game. And
That's what I need to learn.
she built one hell of a business. But in the way of building the business, you see, she had to understand how the business worked. And again, it goes back to the first definition. The business is a business of commerce. When Nikan has a product that doesn't sell, do they keep it so that you can continue to sell it because you like it?
No.
No, they don't. They're a business like any other business. So in order to play a game, you got to play by the rules of the game. Now, I'm all for 100% what you want to do, but I'd like you to do it building a business and helping other people, not just with that, but other areas of their life. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So, goal. So the goal is representing why it represents the purpose. The goal and purpose are tied together. And all of these things that we're going to do on this call today are all tied together. And you work them up and down until you have it. And then you keep redoing this. Because if you don't get what you want, then you haven't done it right.
Actually, there is something I want that's monetary. I want to help build a school for children in an impoverished country to
Brilliant, brilliant,
educate them.
brilliant.
So that's why actually that's what motivated me, that if I can make enough money to do that without touching my little pot,
Yep.
then that's what I should do.
So there's your goal.
Yeah, I didn't connect the two, Dave.
No
There's the
problem.
problem.
No problem. Now, again, misunderstoods, are a big part of why many people don't get to what they want to get to because they either make the assumption they think they know or they're not willing to look. And these are two very powerful aspects of success. Okay, so let's move on. So please write down your goal. And then now the next step of writing the goal is why do you have that as the goal? Now I'm going to just use me as an example. I had a blended family, three kids. My nut was $8,000 a month. I worked, had a business enterprise, and the manufacturer that I represented went broke. So I'm legitimately stuck between a rock and a hard place. So I looked at this as a replacement of income. Like most people, 94% of the working population works to make money. So we want to be able to communicate to the greatest number of people we can possibly communicate with because we don't want to isolate anybody because this is the United States of America. So with that position, I looked at this as could this replace my income? And I took this plan. I said, okay, what's my goal? Well, I want to be a very successful Nikon distributor. My initial goal was 120,000 for the year. And the reason is I want to put food on the table. I wanted to pay the rent. I wanted to be able to put gas in the car and drive around. And again, definition of purpose, the reason for which something is done or created or for which something exists. So the reason I was going to work every day and getting up at 6 o'clock and not coming home until I made sales or recruited distributors was so I could put food on the table so that when I came home to see my kids, I could tell my kids, guys, I did a great job today. That was it. I wasn't in for anything else. Now, things changed over time because of circumstance. Okay. Now let's talk the next step here that you need to have. It's called policy. Now, what is going to be used to guide you, a teacher, a book, a leader whom you will follow? Policy can also be defined in written form by what works and what doesn't. Therefore, acting as a guide to follow or using the successful actions, applying what is known to work. So, what's really wonderful about network marketing today is how it works is really well known. It's not a secret. There have been a gazillion books about it. Not all of them are spot on, but most of them are. And some of the gurus that have figured it out talk the same talk and create the same results. The bottom line is we're a people business and we've got to find people who want to sell what we represent. Now here's what you have to look at. We're one of thousands of companies doing this. We're not the only one. And there are a lot of people that think they have the best thing since sliced toast. So, as I always said in training, beauty's in the eye of the beholder. So you become the beholder, and then away you go, and you fall in love with it. So, definition of policy: a course or principle of action adopted or proposed by an organization or an individual. The first rule that I would say to any of you is get yourself a mentor. Now, what's a mentor? Well, that's a person you can call up at any time and talk. I had a mentor. I still have a mentor. And wherever I go, I try and hook up with the guy that knows the most information. Why? Because they know how to do it. They've done it. Why guess? But it's whatever people spend lots of money on mentors, so don't think you can't get away for free. But the relationship that you create with finding a mentor is to help you get to where you want to get to. And most in that case are going to get to. Okay, so Get a mentor, get trained, read books, study successful. And I put plumbers here because I was going to use the example of plumbers, but I moved it back to network marketing. Be professional, set up operating times. It's using specific tech or following a successful strategy. Make sure you follow what is being used. This then would be policy. So, rules and regulations. So, back in the back office, you have the company has policies and procedures. So, certain things you can do and certain things you can't do, and so on and so forth. But outside of that realm, are other things that are equally as important that need to be put in place. Okay. So the next step in creating your business plan is what's the plan? What's the idea that will be used to do, for you to get the first two items, the goal and the purpose? So because we're doing Nikan, and this is a Nikan event, and this is a Nikan structure, the plan is to do Nikan and get to the top, or get to Diamond, or get to Royal Diamond. How many here know exactly what you need to do to get what you want, what your goal is, or what it means, or how many people, how many legs, how many distributors, how many leaders, how much volume? See, that's all part of it's coming up, but that's all part and parcel of what you need to understand. Some people say you don't. I disagree because the majority of people that didn't learn that stuff don't exist today. So it's very, very important. And in the business world, you wouldn't last 5 seconds in the business world if you didn't know this information. So what's the plan? Well, the plan is to get to Royal Diamond. Let's say that's the example. Okay. So now that's well stated. Okay, that's easy. You can go to the compensation plan and you can look at Royal Diamond, and it's a bunch of gobbledygook in there and a bunch of numbers and a bunch of words, and you probably don't understand most of the words. And then you've got all these wonderful qualifications, et cetera, et cetera. But it doesn't tell you one damn thing about how many people, what it takes, what you have to do, anything else. I'll give you an example here. Gold. You want to go gold. What's the number one benefit of being a gold distributor? Anybody can answer this.
You get to have leadership bonus two levels below you.
Three.
Oh, three. I forgot. Yeah. No.
Well, then that's not fair because you've been taught this.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. But that is the number one reason to be paid to earn gold so that you get that 6% bonus down to the third level. I can't tell you how many people got to gold without having anybody on even their first or second level. So there's some fundamentals here that are very important. So now we've got this thing called a program. What's a program? Is defined as a series of steps in sequence to carry out a plan. So your goal, let's just look at silver as the first goal. So now we have a series of steps in a sequence to carry out a plan. Well, the program then carries out the plan conceived to handle a found why. Well, what's the found why? I need to go to, well, let's go back to Royal Diamond. I need to go to Royal Diamond because I need $10,000 a month, and that's going to take care of my family, pay the bills, give us a little vacation money, take care of the kids' education, set up something for retirement. Okay, great. How are you going to do that? Now, here's where most people fall down. They don't have a written plan. I'd go around the country and I would do lectures on building this business. And the first question I asked is, how many of you have a written plan of getting to where you want to get to? And nobody would raise their hands. They'd keep it up here between their ears. Well, up here between your ears is so congested. You got traffic lights, you got stoplights, you got green, yellow, white now. And you got all kinds of voices telling you what to do, what not to do, where to go, who you like, who you shouldn't like, what to eat, what not to eat, what to wear, what not to wear, how you feel, how you don't feel. Your day can get very complex. So you need to have something in writing that you can refer to. And when you refer to it in writing, you get stabilized. And then, okay, here's my next step. So in order to do the program, we want to know a bit about what we're going to be doing and how that works. Makes perfect sense. So if I was all to ask you guys, okay, so we're going to go into the plumbing business. That's our new adventure. You're all going to be plumbers. Okay, so here's a wrench, go to work. I mean, that's basically what happens to us in network marketing. Here's the wrench, go to work. All right, we want to be a little bit more sophisticated than that, especially today. And the reason why today, especially, is because our competition is the internet and is doing that. So you ask the internet a question, Chat GPT, Google search, however you want to go about doing it. It doesn't give you, well, just sign up and become a distributor. It gives you a detailed map. And again, you're trying to attract attention, so you're competing with another entity or other groups or other businesses or other interests that are trying to attract attention. So this is so you want to have some speciality to how you attract attention because that's your main focus on what you do. So in order to do the program, we want to know a bit about what we are going to be doing, and that's going to set up the next part, which is called a project. Now, a project helps you get a step done in the program. So the first thing that I would put on the program is I need to learn the Nikan compensation plan. Backwards, forwards, upside down. Well, Paula, I need to make $5,000 a month. Can you show me how to do that?
Yeah, according to Lynn, you need 73 people in your organization.
Oh, there you go. Now that's very good. So
It's
I want to
minimum.
reverse that question in the essence of I've got somebody that's got a challenge and I ask this question how things are going and they're telling me, well, they're not going that good. I could really use some help, or you find out that they need to make some extra money. So I always wanted to ask that question, well, how much money do we have to be talking about for you to get really serious with me? And then they'd sit down, they'd say, well, maybe if I could make an extra $2,500 to $5,000 a month, I'd be really happy. Well, let me show you how we do that. And I get out a piece of paper and I'd show them how to make $2,500 to $5,000 in detail. Now, where did I learn that? Selling insurance. So I was trained by a Mutual of Omaha to sell insurance, and I would say, well, you do this presentation, and you'd ask them, well, what are your monthly costs? How much do we have to replace if you get sick or hurt? And the guy would say, well, I need to make $3,000. Well, let me show you how this works and how we could get you your $3,000. Because when you ask the question that goes up between the ears, what's going on up in between the ears is you got Murphy up there looking for the answer that he wants to hear because he's got this problem that's giving you a headache every day. So if you can't answer his question, guess what he's going to do? Yeah, I'm not interested. Yeah, maybe call me next week. When I sat down with a guy that had a serious problem and asked him what he wanted, showed him how it worked, show him how we were going to work together. I have to say, of the key people that I signed up, I never had a miss. I didn't sign up everybody. I looked for special people. Took me a while to get there. But when it came down to finding what was really important, this was how it was done. So the first project was, again, in the projects line was, something that you do that to complete the target so you understand how you can communicate about this business. Because that's the question that you're going to ask the most. Lots of people like to help. No question about this. I'm gonna support what Bella wants. that's absolutely A-okay. I had plenty of people that did that. But I also had a ton of guys that wanted to make a good living because they didn't like what they were doing and they wanted to be in a position where they could help more in other areas. And I think that's the way you got to look at this is a vehicle to allow people to accomplish what they want to accomplish. But in order to do this, you got to remember, how does Nika make its money? By selling products. How do you make money? By selling products, not by you, but other people in your organization. And you'll make a money from a distributor who becomes successful. You don't make anything off the person that's not successful. Believe you me, I've had thousands of them, so I understand it. That's part of the game. So the goal is I want to build to diamond so I can earn $7,500 per month, which pays the bills, basics, and allows us to take a nice weekend vacation once every month while saving up for the kids' college and retirement. To get this done, I need to understand a bit more. So we did that. We learned about the compensation plan. You watch some videos on the comp plan. I've got a ton of them out there. I'm going to attend a class on building my diamond business. We can set up more classes on this. Most importantly, I'm going to find a mentor. So here's what happened. So I sign up. I had a list of 15 people, and I go out. I signed 7 of them up. 8 of them said no. Nothing happened. Didn't get much done. I went back to my mentor and I said, "You got to teach me how this works. What am I not doing right?" And he said, "Well, let's take a look at how this works." And he drew on a piece of paper and he said, "Okay, here you are. You want to get the platinum, then you got to have 3 generations of platinum below you. One could be on the first one could be on the 3rd level, one could be on the 6th level, but you want to drive it down as deep as you can get, because the guy at the bottom is affecting everybody above him." And I looked at that and I said, "Oh my God." So I can't just sign somebody up and hope they make it. I got to sign somebody up who wants to help me grow it. 2 different people. 2 different people. So now here's what I also understood was that whatever the person below me does, I do. I mean, in the sense of gets. Whatever he gets, I get. So I've worked that out mathematically. I've seen how it benefits. So if I get a guy that goes to silver and he makes $500, I'm gonna for helping him get there, I'm gonna make $500. If he goes to gold and makes himself $1,500, I'm gonna make $1,500. So that's what I saw. So it behooved me to help somebody get to where they want to get to. In 1999, I realized how the business works. It was a book I wrote called Vested Interest. It was the need to qualify that caused the person to continue on. The need to qualify. So if you have a distributor underneath you that doesn't need to qualify, you're on very shaky ground. But if you have a distributor underneath you that needs to qualify, you're 100% stable because they're now living off of their income and they are proven that they know what to do and they're going to qualify whether you like it or not, and that's your residual income. And if they're not qualifying, then you're not making any money. I mean, it was really simple to understand. It wasn't difficult. So the projects that got created were to learn how it worked. Because if you learned how it worked, then you could make it work. It's just like if you were a bricklayer and you learned how to use a trowel and make cement, and then you could lay bricks. So as a kid in college, I learned how to use a trowel. I learned how to make cement. And we'd go around the neighborhood building planters in people's houses, make a living as a kid, going to school. So it was an easy concept. You want to learn what to do, and then you can do it. If you don't learn what to do, then you can't do it. And if you misunderstand most of it, you're in deep trouble. And that's, again, that happens here. Okay, here's the next thing on the business plan: orders. Someone has to give the orders to do things. So you create the plan and say the first step on the plan is go senior. Okay, well, give yourself the order to go senior. Figure out what you'll, by the time you've done the project, you've learned the compensation plan, you work with a mentor, you're going to know exactly what you need to do to get to senior. You're going to know exactly what to do to get to executive. You're going to know exactly what to do to get to silver and all the way up. It's just mechanical. It's not nothing. No, it's no brainer. It's just mechanical. So for example, if you wanted to go to gold, which is 15,000 points, then basically you want to have three people underneath you that are going silver or doing 5,000 points or one gold below you and you want to think big and think in futures. You see? And in the sense of when I think when I was Royal Diamond, fully going, that's a long time ago because I retired many years ago. But when I was going and blowing, I had 2,700 silvers and above in my organization. I think I had 9 Royal Diamonds. I had 168 golds and about 70 platinums. And I was doing millions of dollars worth of business every month. Didn't get paid on it all, but that's what the organization did. And we used to have this bonus called Royal Ambassador, which was based on doing, I think it was, I forget what it was, but it was a huge amount of money, 100 million a year, I think, or every 2 years. And I had one leg, I was missing one leg, so I gave up on that. So that's just one of those things. But I was fine. I was happy with what I had, and then I got some opportunities in the real world to do other things, which also turned out great. Okay, so you got to give yourself the order. And then when you have juniors underneath you, but I mean by juniors is other people in your organization, you also got to you got to go make calls and call 10 people because I'm going to come over to your house and we're going to do a meeting. See, you're directing the traffic and you direct the traffic until somebody else directs the traffic for you. But until they start directing the traffic, it ain't going to happen unless you do it. So, Bella, I'm going to pick on you again. You have 3 people and they turned out not so good because somebody didn't sit down with them and build them. That's the problem. Because we think that they're going to do what we do. Huge mistake. Huge mistake. Now, let's say that, and again, this is why we want to cut this economic threshold because we want to know what's the make break point. What do we mean by the make break point? Well, where am I going to keep this guy and where is he vulnerable to? Because life has a very interesting way of clobbering you over the head when you least expect it. Is that just for you and me? No, it's for everybody. So now I had distributors that were making millions of dollars. They weren't going anywhere. You follow where I'm coming from here. So that was the viewpoint was, oh my goodness. So the more vested they are into what they're doing, the stronger they become, the longer they're going to stay with, and the bigger my residual organization is, and the more people I can get to join my business. That was the idea here. Okay. Next one, Pam's coming on. I'll let her in. Okay. The next one here is statistics. There isn't a business in the world that I know of that doesn't use some form of a statistic. What's a statistic? It's a measurement of production. That's all it is. It just simply, I've done this experiment with a number of different people. You take an activity, I don't care if you're the receptionist or if you're the janitor, but your activity, you do certain things and a certain number of things. So when I was building the business in the beginning, I was looking for prospects. So I'd have a statistics of number of new contacts. Very simple statistic. I just write down new contact, new contact, new contact. Then I would have presentations. Then I would have sales presentations, then closes, and then volume, and then new distributors, and then silvers, and then golds, and then platinums, and So as the business grew, I kept adding these statistics, which would tell me if I was effective or not. That's all. So if I did an action, and I see this is in today's world, it's kind of blind. that there's no research as to why people are doing actions. They make sense, but doesn't necessarily mean they're going to create results. So for you, and this is really important because what I learned also in my career was that there's a difference between style and technique amongst all of us. It's like the clothes that you're wearing on your back. We're all wearing clothes, but they're all different. So you're going to communicate differently, you're going to talk differently, you're going to have different mannerisms, all of these things are going to be unique to you. So what you want to do is keep track of what you do. And then again, here's another project that you'll set up. You'll learn how to create a chart, a graph and a chart. And then you look at those graphs in the chart. Sometimes they're going to go up like this, and sometimes they're going to go down. So you look at it, if you did something went down, then guess what you do as the manager and CEO of your business? Ooh, that went down. I better do something right now to correct it, versus not being aware of it, not seeing it for a long time, and understanding, well, what the hell happened? It fell apart. Why? It's guesswork. Stop guessing. Use statistics. You don't have to guess anymore. You'll see exactly what you do, what you get, and then you can strengthen what works for you and get rid of what doesn't. Okay, we got 7 minutes to cover two things. Ideal scene. And this is a picture of what the business should look like. So this is a picture. So I use this analogy all the time. You have a piece of land and you want to build a 4-bedroom home, 2 bathrooms, a rumpus room, whatever you call them, and an open floor plan, a garage, a back entertainment area. So what do? You go to an architect. What does the architect do? He creates a picture. And the picture is what you asked for. So the picture here would be then a diamond or royal diamond picture. And if you've been on my website and you've seen my videos, I've created all kinds of these pictures. And the more detail about the picture that you can create, the more realistic it is, and you can really understand what you need to do to get to where you want to get to. And getting there is not difficult. But if you don't know where you're going and you don't know how it works and you don't know what the structure looks like, it's awfully difficult. It just becomes a giant guessing game, so to speak. So that you create the picture. Now, I would probably scale it down. I wouldn't go to Royal Diamond right away. I'd probably look at where you're at and go to the next level, and that's where you create this stuff for. We call this an admin scale. So you do the admin scale for wanting to go silver, gold, platinum, diamond, Royal Diamond. So your ideal scene would be for gold would be an organization that has 3 legs. You got at least 3 levels of leadership below you, and you're doing at least 15 to 20 to 30,000 in points, and you're making some decent exchange for doing that. And you got lots of people that are very successful in your group, and they're expanding and growing and going to automatically take you to platinum. See, that's the nature of the beast. That's what it's supposed to do. These are they're not stopping points. They're stepping stones on a way to go up the ladder. Okay. Here's the last thing. Valuable final product. This is the thing that you produce that creates the exchange for what you want. Okay, this is really an important area. So I use in my book, The Smart Networker, the coffee table. So you own a coffee table business. That's all you do is make coffee tables. So you make these coffee tables, you put them in magazines, you put them in stores, and people buy them. The nicer the coffee table, the more attractive the coffee table, the more you sell, and more people buy it. What do you get for that coffee table? You get the exchange of money. What are you producing in your day-to-day activities? Coffee tables. How do you produce the coffee tables? Well, you need manufacturing, you need raw materials, you need people, you need support, you need money, you need cash flow, you need a whole bunch of things, trucks and cars, whatever, advertising. You need a whole bunch of stuff to then create that valuable final product of a coffee table that people need and want. And then the statistic of managing your business is how many coffee tables you sell. And then the more you sell, the more profitable you become. Take a look at Jeff Bezos. Watch his story. Starts in a garage and is now one of the most successful distribution people on the planet. And he's helping gazillions of people all over the place with opportunity. So again, it's the same kind of concept. So in our case, it's the distributor who generates the most volume and the most income, and it's the distributor that's getting what you want. So the valuable final product that you're producing is a successful distributor. Think about that for a second. So you have 10 valuable final products in your organization, each doing 20,000 a month in volume. 10 times 20 is 200,000 points. Okay, you use a 60% CV, that's 120,000 in CV, multiply that by 6%. There's your income. There's your $75,000 to $8,000. So your success comes about by helping other people become successful. So let's just go back up to the top here and take a look at this. So you have these 10 points: goal, purpose, policy, plan, program, projects, orders, statistics, ideal scene, valuable final product. Now, you take your scene, whatever you're trying to accomplish, who you want, who you are, and you write out all of the points for you. What's your goal? Write it down. What's the reason for the goal? What's the purpose behind that? Write it down. And what's the plan for you to get that goal? Well, you're going to do Nikan. Okay, great. You might do other things. You might do, I'm going to do Nikan. I'm going to paint. I'm a painter, an artist. I'm going to do some artwork. I have a job. I'm going to do that. It might be this is all inclusive in it, or you can make it separate to just this. And then, okay, so the plan is you're going to do this. What's the program? What are the steps that you need to do? So then what do you got to do? You got to understand what it is you're involved with. And the best way to do that's hire somebody you can talk to. Somebody that knows what they're talking about. And then you got your program, you do your projects, you give yourself the orders to go to work, you have the ideal scene written up and that's a picture on your wall, you keep this track of your statistics, and you know what you're producing, so you try to produce that every day, and you go to work. And you go to work until you reach your objective. So the first target might be executive, second target might be silver. But again, so what would be the component parts of an executive? See, that's how you want to break it down. So anyway, this is recorded. So I'll post this once it's done. It'll be later, probably tomorrow. And next week we'll continue on with the series. If you have any questions, you know how to reach me. It's rolfman@earthlink.net.